"This reminds me of Langley Sports." He said, "It just reminds me." I said, "I don't know what it is," he said, "but it just reminds me of Langley Sports." And I'll never forget that. I remember where I was stood when he said it. And I said, "Well, I wouldn't mind doing half as bad as them." That was my comment many years ago. That's exactly, well worded really, what Gary done there. That's look at Ferguson, what he done at Man United. It was always about a core group, and then bolting on the outside of it. That's 100% the way to get success. Well, just the football's a big hobby to me, and I've never lost my enthusiasm for it. And if I don't get up that time of day, then nothing works for me. Do you know what I mean?
What did you think of Quickie when he was with you, and
Yeah,
how did that move come about?
He's just a brilliant lad. He's a top lad. Top lad. He, it,
So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are watching this, and welcome to the Down the Lane podcast, where today we have a special guest, Marc White from Dorking. Good evening, Marc.
Good evening, Baz. Hope you're good, mate.
Yeah, not too bad. So obviously, at the moment, you sit top of the league. But just to tell the people watching our channel, first question that we've got for you is, what makes Marc White get up at 4:30 in the morning, go to Starbucks, get his coffee? What makes Marc White tick?
Well, just the football's a big hobby to me, and I've never lost my enthusiasm for it. And if I don't get up that time of day, then nothing works for me. Do you know what I mean? I run the football club as a business, chairman, chief exec, people around me. It's a big job, so that's what I have to do. But I love it, and all the time I've got the energy. That'll do for me. If ever I retire to Eastbourne, incidentally, then you know what I mean. When I'm done, I won't be able to do it, will I? So for the moment, I'll keep at it.
Yeah. And, for yourself, I mean, obviously you've been, you were a team that you brought up from the lower reaches, the lowest form of the league, when you started in 1999. What did you do? Did you look at clubs like, I mean, we'd obviously done the same, but over a longer period of time. Did you look at clubs like Eastbourne and see what we'd done and sort of take the pros and cons of what you should or shouldn't do from clubs like ourselves?
Yeah. So we had a ground grading inspection at our previous West Humble home, and it was with a couple of older gentlemen that belonged to the Sussex County League, and the whole purpose of it was, will we ever be able to develop our ground? And Steve Neilgrove, who now is the chair of the Sussex County League, or certainly was last year, he said, "This reminds me of Langley Sports." He said, "It just reminds me." I said, "I don't know what it is," he said, "but it just reminds me of Langley Sports." And I'll never forget that. I remember where I was stood when he said it. And I said, "Well, I wouldn't mind doing half as bad as them." That was my comment many years ago.
And you did it.
Well, yeah. Lot of time, effort, and
Yeah.
money.
So in your have you got out of all the promotions that you've got, or have you got a favourite day or a favourite promotion, one that really stuck in the mind that you kind of sat back and thought, I'm there, not I'm there where I need to be, because obviously you want to be EFL, but that day that you thought you'd taken Dorking Wanderers to where you are now, and you could see that it was just naturally going to progress.
Yeah, I think we had that infamous playoff final in this division, and that was pretty incredible. Just the nature of the victory, 5 seconds to go, sold out ground, and then the year after, going to Wrexham and Chesterfield and Oldham Athletic playing on television. Yeah, that one game put us on the map, really, that playoff game.
Yeah, and that was in front of a massive crowd. What was your crowd that day?
4,000. You can't see nothing at Meadowbank with 1,000.
No,
That's
you
true.
can't. You can't where you stick us in that horrible little corner. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that.
Get you lot out of the way.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not
Troublemakers.
that. We're not that bad. We're not that bad, Mark. Surely.
We're
You've
not as
had
bad
worse.
as the Worthing fans.
Nah, exactly
We're not as
that.
bad as the Worthing fans were to you that night.
Oh, mate,
It was
listen.
shocking that night. That was shocking.
I know, but listen, that was that was them trying to get a competitive advantage. Do you know what I mean? Stick the away fans behind the dugout and all that, and then don't police them. That old chestnut.
Are you looking forward to playing them at home? Are you going to return the favour?
Well, exactly that. I'd imagine they'll be concerned because our dugout's even worse if we want it to be. Nah, it's a shame really because I've always had a lot of time for Worthing and the late Peter and all the people down there. So I was disappointed with that, to be honest with you. But listen, I'm a good guy, so I won't go tit for tat. I'll do the talking on the pitch.
I've got a few, but just initially on the whole sort of us and you, I guess. What was your first memory of playing us? Do you remember the score at all? What ground it was? It's probably before my time of watching the sports. So, what was your first memory coming to Priory Lane or us coming to either West Humble or Meadowbank?
Meadowbank, we had a 3-3 FA trophy. FA Cup, I think.
FA Cup, wasn't it? Yeah.
And then the lad scored a hat trick. What's his name? Whelpdale.
Yeah. Whelpdale. Yeah, the ex-Peterborough. Yeah.
Yeah. Scored a hat trick. He was really good in the air. We hadn't done our homework. We've come on a lot since then. But yeah, that's my first memory. We've had quite a few games. Pretty even between the two teams, I think.
Yeah, we've had tons recently, haven't we? Keep drawing you an FA Trophy every year, so that's added to the. I think Meadowbank's my most visited ground now of all the away grounds for the last few seasons. So yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll play you again next year, but we could be 2 leagues apart, so which wouldn't be good for us, of course. Great for you. Yeah, so we'll see on that one. No, we had some great games. I remember we played you. Probably don't want to remember this one, but it's one of my favourite games. Down at Priory Lane, we were 2-0 down after 15, 20 minutes. The Upsy started blitzing us, and then we came back and scored in the last few 5 minutes. I believe that was in the year you went up, wasn't it, as well?
Yes.
Under the lights at Priory Lane. You were saying about... I actually remember you in a bunch of amateurs, you were saying about Jack Curry. You said, watch the left back, he's quality, and now he's championship player. So you certainly did your homework on the right lad that time round.
Well, I gave Jack Curry to you. That's the story, because we were going to sign him on loan, and then Bobbie Joe Taylor came about, who we then signed, and he stayed with us for 4 years. And kind of like 2 days after agreeing to take Jack, I said, you know what, we're not doing it. When I phoned Danny Bloom, and I said to Danny, you want to get a lad from Wimbledon who's really good, so you can thank me for that.
All right. Perfect. Any more signings you've had a hand in for us? George Alexander, maybe?
Maybe, actually.
Yeah? Little do we know that our entire recruitment policy is based on Mark White. So were you trying to screw us over this year? Was that the plan, was it, or something?
Well, you know me. I'm always trying to claim a bit of glory.
Yeah, all ruin our season in this case. Oh, good stuff.
So, Mark, you saying there as well about your loyalty to players, players that you've had for a number of years. Do you think there are times where you've maybe been a little bit too loyal and maybe kept players for maybe a year or so more than they were, capable of playing as they were nearing the end of their careers at all?
Yeah, possibly once or twice, but in the main, that strategy of having people around that you can trust, that know the club, has worked really well for me. I mean, Rutherford's just done a contract. At the end of that, he would have been there 7 years. McShane's in his 11th year. Last night, Luke Moore, who's been there best part of 7. You know, he had to play last night with shorter players, never lets you down, does a job. I think all good sides and clubs have got a core of players, but yeah, look, every now and then you get it wrong. That's football management.
Yeah, and I think we were very much similar down at Borough in the Gary Wilson years. You know, we had players that were playing. They were playing in the County League Div 1, and then sort of 6-7 years later, they're in the Conference Premier as it was at the time. And when you look at players like that, I was adamant that if them players were never really probably the quality of the Conference Premier, but they'd stayed together for so long that they knew each other's game, and you didn't need a pre-season because your pre-season was the season or the 2, 3, 4 seasons before that they'd been playing together. Did you find that at Dorking as well as you were climbing through the leagues?
That's exactly well worded, really. What Gary done there. That's look at Ferguson, what he done at Man United. It was always about a core group, and then bolted on the outside of it. That's 100% the way to get success. The problem is, in this day and age, that managers aren't in clubs long enough to be able to actually do that. That's half the problem. Managers have to sort of, fear for their job a lot, and it's difficult to do long-term team building.
Yeah, and I think around that time as well, Gary Wilson was obviously in the company of two very esteemed managers, one that you've just mentioned there in Sir Alex, but obviously Arsene Wenger as well as one of the top 3 longest serving managers in the country. But when I look at the dates, I think you might have had a little part to play in that as well, Mark, because I think because Dorking was so low at the time, I think you actually became Dorking manager before Gary became Eastbourne manager. So actually, although you never got the credit for it, you would have been the 3rd longest serving manager in the country and relegated Gary to 4th. But I'm not going to tell Gary that because
Have you got any of sort of your favourite ever players that have sort of played for you?
Can't pick favourites. Can't pick favourites.
I'll put him on the spot.
Pryor's got to be up there, surely. You love Pryor.
Yeah, exactly. Jason Pryor's brilliant because he's one of them players that he's just a winner. And the bits you don't see when sometimes as a fan is how much they help everybody else, how much they're good in the changing room, all of that. Pryor's he's amazing. Do you know what? If he left us at the end of this season, if he did, and he's going to be 37, he would have, honestly, 30 clubs that want him. And that shows you how good he is as an individual. His goals now naturally are less, but he does more for the team than ever. Pryor's one of my favourites. We had a boy called Tom Davis back in the day. Jerome Beckles with me 10 years, come through the Park Leagues. I mean, the list goes on, really. A lot of my friends have come from there.
And on sort of players that we've shared quite a few players. I think we had a little challenge on the way back from one of the away games, listing all the players that we've actually shared over the years. I think it was upwards of sort of 14 players. Wow. Just like a word on like Falsey there currently, because it's quite a few we worked out. Like even like ones that weren't with you for very long, like Lee Morgan had a little spell with you guys.
Oh yeah.
Thinking like Callum Keeley, Sam Beard, obviously, quite a few different names. Just like a word on Folksy, because I watch Bunch Amateurs religiously. I don't miss an episode. And I feel like I get the gist that you respect Folksy. You think he's a good keeper, but I think the comments sometimes feel like you're a bit harsh on him. So I want to know your thoughts on how you found Harrison so far.
Do you know what? He's in his best form that he's been in since he's been here. He is a tremendous lad, really good lad. And with him, I'm probably harsh because I see it. Right? We're all football fans. Great goalies are fucking hard to find, right? They're like playing whack-a-mole. You know what I mean? One can kick, one can't catch, one don't come for crosses, one's too keen for crosses. They're never ever the finished article. But with Folksy, I'm a bit like a dad almost in the way I treat him, because I see so much ability and I almost want to prize out the confidence in him, and I do it in a way where, you know, I'm quite tough on him, but he's having his best spell ever, and he's a top guy.
Oh, he's brilliant. Yeah, as a person, as a player as well. Like, how do you, like, I guess, know when to toe the line with players, and like what approach works with different players? Because I imagine you've got quite a lot of young lads in currently, haven't you, with the injuries? I'm not sure on their names. I think one maybe Seb or Seth. I remember
Seb,
it being
Seb.
called. Like, how do you Seb? Yeah. How do you like match your approach, I guess, to the player? Like, would there be a time where, say for example, one of your young lads makes a mistake? How do you hand that differently compared to? So I know you gave. I watched Tunbridge Angels literally last night, and I think Frank Vincent had a horrendous first half, and he got a right dressing down in the changing room. And to be fair, I think it worked, from what I could tell. So yeah, just want to get your thoughts on that, really.
I think the way great leadership is about your continued approach, because if there's a changing room, if everybody sees you firm but fair, if everyone knows what to expect or knows what's expected, if they know you're as likely to say well done as you are to put them on the spot, then people always receive the way you are better. And I am very fair. At the end of that, I mean, I praised Frank Vincent at the end of the game. Then we had a massive laugh, you know, about him drinking fucking some weird tea he got from Uruguay or something, and I genuinely think it slowed him up. He was trying to claim that Lionel Messi uses it. I said, there's no fucking way Lionel Messi drinks that tea. But yeah, I think it's all about, if you're one of those, you know, like the managers that just shout because they shout, and they always shout, and they never stop shouting.
White noise sort of thing.
Yeah, and it's just like, they're just not nice people, but I am, and also I'm the first to put my hand up, and that's another, you know, so they all know that I'll go, yeah, that was shit today, I fucked up, or training 2 days later, I'll say I've got the team wrong, or we should have played this way, not that way. When that's the culture, people receive everything better.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and definitely. Just to jump in there quick, Mark, with Folksy, you know, you famously you say you don't like goalkeepers. Where does Folksy rate in your non-liking element? I mean, is he up near the top there, or is he top, or
is top bad or top good, Baz? Before he answers.
He's top. I like Folks more than I've liked any other goalie at Dorking. But just to be clear, I've hated all of them.
Wow. Okay. He's the least hated. Fair play.
I like him. I like him.
Even like Harrison Mayle, who he was like massive in your relegation season. Yeah. You had Harrison Mayle, didn't you, for a year or two, wasn't it? And he was massive for you.
Yeah, he's a good lad, Harrison. Good lad. And listen, do you know what it is? Like, I don't know what it is. I think we try to play football from the back. There's more focus on the goalie than anybody else at times, so the criticism comes in. I would definitely say that I'm unfair with goalies.
You have obviously a love-hate relationship with officials in this division. I think we all do personally, but obviously you're very vocal with them. Is there any sort of rule you'd change with with officiating in the modern game?
Well, yeah. I mean, I would disallow contact. So, like that the laws of the game now allow you to play the man, not the ball. And Barry might remember. Sorry, Barry, but you two might not remember. But growing up, some of the principles of football were quite straightforward. You had to play the ball, not the man. And it made it easier for the referee, and it made it easier for participants to actually know. But now, from a you can do things at a corner that you couldn't do in the middle of the pitch. It's weird.
Yeah.
So I don't. A
Yeah,
centre half now can grab a centre forward and just push him under the ball, and then the referee has to judge whether or not there was enough contact. It's just crap. I really hate it.
I totally agree with that, Mark, and I still stand behind the goal now, screaming at the referees, that he's grabbing hold of him or he's got hold of him or whatever else. But the thing is, they're allowed to do that now, and it's one of the rules in football it's made it more like WWE wrestling in the penalty box. It's madness.
Yeah, it doesn't work, and you get it all the time. And all it's actually done is give the referees an out ball, because they can now say, yeah, nah, not enough there for me, even when it's clear and obvious, because players are cute. Players, how can a referee judge if that arm was strong enough to put him off winning the ball, the elbow in the back? You can have two hands on people, get away with it all the time now. So they've made it harder for themselves, to be honest with you, and they know that.
But that's the FA making it harder for the referees, aren't they? And I know, I've seen you on other podcasts when you say all these rule changes make it so difficult. This is why we haven't got young referees coming through, right? Because they're learning something, and then before they actually get to referee a game, the rules have changed, and I know it's a big bugbear of yours, that.
Well, I mean, I've done multiple now presentations to. I've done the London FA, Kent FA, referees associations, Q&As, and it's been really, really enlightening. Do you know what I mean? Really enlightening. And one of the points I always make is, name another sport where the laws change as much as football.
No,
yeah, there isn't one. Yeah.
every week there's like a brand new rule, pretty much. Like something's changed.
It's fucking mental. We've just come to accept it as participants and supporters. But what other fucking sport changes their laws every other week? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
no, you're right.
Yeah, it's the interpretation to where Langley Sports started or Dorking Wanderers for the young referee with no linesman of the laws they create is impossible. So I do feel for them.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, I've obviously seen Dorking rise over the years, but I haven't been a part of your story. But I know that you've mentioned Langley Sports again there. I know the time and the dedication that Len and Mick and Mike and all the founders put into that club. From literally playing on a rented council pitch like you did with Langley Boys Club to becoming a team that were in the fifth highest league in the country. So there is a lot of work there, and I know you've done it. You've had people around you. You famously say about the volunteers that you've got around you. And football can't do without that. Something you've brought up in the last sort of few years is your fan ownership scheme. How exactly has that worked, and how has that helped you to improve the club?
Well, my thing was like, owners of clubs realistically are only the custodian of the club, aren't they? As much as we hate to think it, me, Simon, all of these owners, we are the current owners of our club, but the club is really at the heart of the community, and it is there sadly before and after the current owner. Maybe not in the case of Dorking, but of course it will be in the future. But so we wanted an ownership group whereby a proportion of the club, the community had a piece of it, the individuals in the community from all walks of life, from supporters to local businessmen, because it just creates more invested people, more hands on deck, and just creates a bit of a comfort or safety, if you like, for the future. We've seen clubs like Southend, Bury, Macclesfield. Lots of clubs have gone to the wall, and we just felt like a fan ownership group just sort of protected that in the future.
Yeah. Just to follow up on that as well. Oh, sorry, Baz.
No, go on.
No, I was going to ask you about like sort of sustainability in the league, because there's a lot of clubs, I think ourselves included, we're sort of throwing money at it to have like insane losses. Simon is sort of trying his best to recruit that as much as possible, but with attendance as being low, yeah, certainly not helped us. How much does that help you guys be sort of self-sufficient to some extent? Because I know you put a lot of your own money in to the club over the years, but I'd assume there's a strategy to at some point make that sort of break even, I guess, which is obviously very hard to do in football unless you have the football lottery, as it's called, like FA Cup runs and player sales. And so how far away are you from achieving that, and what helps? What have you put in place to sort of to reach that goal?
Yeah, I mean, we've been fortunate with the digital media stuff that we've attracted brilliant partners and sponsors. So we're nearer than ever to that. But in football, the minute you get involved in it, it is genuinely like going out in the morning to put the bins out and putting your money in the bin, because there is it is a really tough business from the very top to the bottom. Somebody's putting in money to a football club, and the very best you can hope for is a great cup run to get a little bit back. I think there's many ways of trying to help it. Being very, getting on board a great coach with good youngsters, leveraging the pro sides for loans. There are ways to help it, but ultimately it's a hard ask.
Yeah, definitely a tough one to sort of sustain.
And just you mentioned there about a coach, obviously a coach that you used to have, Marc Beard, obviously became our first manager when Simon and Alan, when Simon bought the club and Alan came in. How did you find out about that? How did Marc approach you to say that he'd been offered the job at Eastbourne?
I think Simon might have messaged me simultaneously to Beardy. It all happened very last minute, so before the season, I think, don't quote me, but I think Beardy had no time at all to
you bang on. Yeah, June.
And I think, if I'm honest with you, I'm not sure it's recovered from that. If I'm honest with you, that's me being candid, because I like Simon a lot and I like the club, but I made mistakes at Dorking 3 years ago that still to this day are hurting me. So as an owner, I'm very aware that it's not always the last manager you recruited, or a player, or sometimes what you got wrong was maybe 2 to 3 years ago. It wasn't the case of me. So yeah, I think with Beardy, that start of that era, Simon was great, and Beardy's obviously a top man.
Yeah, I like Marc, and I felt really sorry for him because, I know when he came in, Alan openly said about how much he knew about all our players and everything else, and then obviously players didn't want to move from the part-time to the full-time, bracket, and Marc lost a lot of his players, and then he was trying to rebuild a side when players had already signed for, the decent players had already signed for other clubs, right? So really difficult job that he had there.
Yeah.
Talking about coaches as well, I just want to find out, how's Sarah Jane getting on with her? How's Sarah Jane getting on with her coaching badges?
Yeah, she's all right.
Yeah.
She's had a bit of a run-in because she was wearing her pinny doing them this afternoon, but she's all right.
That's good to hear.
Careful, Marc. Don't want another ban.
You've got an exclusive.
We don't want to get you in trouble on the Down Lane podcast.
You've got an exclusive here because I'm actually doing the referees course.
Oh wow.
Are you?
Oh wow!
Okay.
Yeah.
Some
Is that-
honest
is
feedback
that so-
coming back their way.
Is that so you know what you can have a go at them about, and you know?
No, the
No,
line.
no, I know more than them anyway. No, it's just so I can officially. It's just so I can officially. I want to referee a game, and I want to record it, and I want to
Right.
show people how fucking easy it is.
I look forward to it.
Can you let us know when that is? Because I definitely want to come and watch that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I definitely am going to give you some shit as referee. I'm telling you.
I'll just send you off, Harry, in about a second. You get a
I'm
red
known for
card,
giving the refs
you
a
get
better
told
go.
to fuck off. Sling your hook.
Can you
Brilliant.
ref us for just Torquay on Saturday? You know, obviously be completely
Oh, we'd
impartial
love that.
towards. Yeah.
I'd love you to turn up and ref a game sometime. Brilliant. Bobbie, go on. You was trying to get in.
I think I imagine rocking up to like your park league and Mark White turns up as your referee. I think that there might be the most well behaved game of football you might see ever.
Well, see, I'm a big
Make one mistake, and Mark.
I'm a big advocate for. I tell referees, just run the game. You've got a yellow card, a red card. You've got rules. You've got things that, that don't need any interpretation. So apply them properly, and whereby, you need to interpret things, and you get things wrong. Just put your hand up and get on with it. Because you're around people that make the same level of mistakes.
Exactly, and I think for officials, people say that they get given like a lot of grief from people. Not say, and people say that no one wants to become a referee, but with yourself saying that you want to become a referee, I think it just shows that people obviously want to help in the modern game. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't want to be one. What I want to do is just demonstrate.
Sorry.
They can use me to demonstrate on how to referee properly.
Yeah.
Role
How
model.
many referees in this league? How many referees in this league, Mark? Do you think referee properly?
I actually think it's improved.
Like,
Okay.
Believe it or not, I think it's improved, which is saying something. I think the job is made difficult by the laws, the constant problems with that.
Yeah.
I actually think the refs have got better, and there is a lot of efforts around them, but it's obviously far from ideal.
Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think we've had our fair share of our referees being not the greatest.
Just to move off referees before Mark gets in trouble. Even though you've been quite fair, so I think you'll be right. But we touched Barry. You touched on it earlier about that sort of part-time, full-time hybrid debate. Where did Dawkins sit in that currently? I've sort of lost track of what you guys are at. Are you full-time now, or are you a hybrid? And if so, like, what do you think is the best strategy for our league at this point in time? Because there's a bit of a mix, isn't there now, of clubs and different ways of doing it.
Yeah, I think we do 3 mornings. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. That's what we do. If we're playing miles away, we'll travel Friday. If we're playing Tuesday night, we won't bother Tuesday morning. So we'll just do Monday, Thursday. In this modern day and age, the S&C coach sets gym programs outside of that, and that suffices, to be quite frank. Might add a morning maybe if we were lucky enough to get promoted, but I think if you want to compete in this league, you've got to be somewhere near that.
Yeah, because
I
we're
think-
go on, Bob.
I just think as well. I think somewhere that there's gonna be. I think somewhat in the future or next year, there's gonna be about most of this league is gonna be made up of hybrid and full-time teams. Like from your perspective, Mark, as a manager, does that make this league will become extremely more competitive?
Yeah, I think so. It is more competitive now. I think due to the popularity of football, there's way more good managers, good coaches about, and due to the academy system, there's loads of young pros that fall out of the game that end up in these divisions as well. So I think naturally we're already seeing that these leagues get the strength and depth of people that want to be professional. You can get youngsters now that want to get back in the football league that see the National South as a vehicle and they're happy to play in it, but as long as you're full time, because they won't go to a part-time club.
Exactly. I think
and that's something that obviously we're looking at now. We've, obviously the statement that came out today from the club is, they're looking at all options for next year. So, if we go down a league, then we may go back to part-time, or we may stay at full-time or hybrid. I mean, if that was you, Mark, if it was you that were in our situation, going from full-time, would you step back to part-time, or would you take a more hybrid approach?
Difficult one, really. The argument is, if you've got a good budget and you're part-time, you'll get the best part-time players. If you're in step 3 and you're full-time, the argument then is you'll only get the crappiest full-time players. So I think the ideal is to stay doing mornings and convince people to be part of the project, make some key signings, and convince them. I look at Havant and I look at our old boy Ryan Seeger, the Seeger Mega Drive, and he stepped down to Havant and he scored something like ridiculous, hasn't he? 29, 30 goals.
Yeah.
So if you can team build, if you can get a manager in there that can sell the dream to full-time boys to go down a league, to bounce up a few, great. But if you end up with the dredges of the full-time game in step 3, that's not going to work. You're better off getting the very best part-time players.
And how have you noticed the financial demands of players as sort of, with everyone sort of going more to a full-time or hybrid approach now? How is the financial demands? Has it sort of hit the clubs hard?
Yeah, it's a mixed bag, really. I think some of the boys that have been around the game 3, 4, 5, 6 years want their they want their chunk of money. But there are a lot of younger lads now. There's so many of them looking for clubs that have been released that they will play for less money. And there's been some clubs in the league above, Halifax, Gateshead, loads of clubs, Aldershot, that have done really well recruiting boys on low salaries.
I just want to ask, from where we are currently, our situation. Obviously, you mentioned off camera that there's still football. If it was a long way to go this season, we obviously still got another 2 months to go. If you were currently in our shoes, if your club's in our shoes, what would you do? I think that's what I think people want to know. Like, is it different from club to club? Yeah.
Well, I think I think the club's only 2. It's 2 wins. It's understandable that the feelings around the place won't be great, but it is a very equal league. It really is. And even Eastbourne's results, Chippenham's results, have been very close, really close. So it's more a case of how far could you be from a simple 3-4 winning game sequence with so many to play. I mean, there's all to play for. So I would personally just be extremely positive. If Simon's not thought Tom is the man, then, go with somebody else. But in any event, there's loads of time left. Loads of time. And you've got some great players.
I mean, and from your time in the division below. What is it from your time in the division below? Obviously, you're not hoping we go down. How hard is that league below? How hard is the Isthmian Premier League?
I think it's really difficult. Yeah, really difficult. I think all levels of football, even the Premier League now, are closer. You don't get. It's not really like it used to be. Three teams running away. You get big blocks of teams. Look at the Premier League. Outside of the top two, everybody else is contending. So very difficult. Different dynamics. I think any relegation, has to be avoided at all costs. Certainly in terms of the amount of teams, that movement between leagues is never really as much as you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was reading a stat. Last night about the teams that have gone down from the South to the Isthmian, and there's only 2 teams in all that time since the South began in 2004 that have come back up at the first attempt. So it's not an easy job to do, is it?
No, it's not. It's not, really not. I think any relegation is difficult because you're going to fall into a league where there's already 5 or 6 teams that can't get out of it. So you're just amongst them.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bob was saying about what you'll sort of change or do if you are in that situation. I sort of want to sort of go off from that and say, what sort of bits do you take ownership now of, Mark, at the club? Because before you were, player manager, kit man, pitch organizer, whatever. You were doing the whole lot. What now would you say, you oversee primarily, and what bits are you happy to delegate? Obviously, you've got a good coaching team. Looks like Rob and Jordan, etc., are quite hands-on with the coaching aspect of things. But, what do you make sure that you oversee to make sure it's done, I guess, the way you want it done, or where your expertise lie mainly now?
Well, I think that's it, Miles. Believe it or not, I'm a really good football manager. That goes by the by, because I'm so outspoken and whatnot. But
That's true.
I'm able to focus on, the team building, tactical aspects. I've got a brilliant management team that are able to deliver the coaching during the week. We've got a great togetherness, good understanding. And then to your point, Miles, I oversee pretty much everything else. And everything else with us is a lot. We're a big club. We've got a lot going on. So It is a big task, but I love it. To Barry's point, Cobham services, 4:30, 4 in the morning, propping up the coffee, go again. That's what I do. Yeah.
How much sleep do you get if you go into there at 4:04? You must be knackered every day.
To be fair, could get more, but listen, you know how it works. Do you know what I mean? Sleep is for the weak. So
yeah.
I think there was a famous.
The hustle never stops.
He died after 2 years. But yeah.
Oh no. Let's hope not put the mockers on there.
Yeah.
And obviously, referring to previous players that you've had, Mark. Obviously, we've got Dan Quick at our club, who you used to have. What did you think of Quickie when he was with you? And how did that move come about?
He's just a brilliant lad. He's a top lad. Top lad. Dan came to us at a really weird time. He came in amongst boys getting injured, to fill in some gaps. Kind of like his first senior loan off the back of being at Palace in the 21s, and it was all a bit of an eye-opener. We had a few boys coming back from injury, and I went with the experience, not the youngster. But I think, looking back, what I've learned and what I would now probably invest in that youngster more, if that makes sense. Dan's a top lad, and he's a real credit to himself. He really is, and he's a great footballer, and he deserves success.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. He's a good lad. I like Dan.
Yeah.
I like Quickie.
Yeah. Have you changed your approach of youngsters then a bit, Mark? Because I think there was a bit of a maybe like unfair narrative that you sort of didn't put young players in, or maybe didn't trust them enough. Have you changed your approach there at all of how you coach or develop? I guess you must have that sort of youth team coming through now, which you never used to have. Has there been any change of strategy there at all from you on that end?
Yeah, we've got an academy now that's amazing. It's producing better players, and
Yeah.
I'm learning the integration of them can be really good and cheaper. Let's face it. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. If they're good enough, they're old enough, aren't they? Like, Pat must be 20 or under, isn't he? He's been flying. Obviously, he's got injured, sadly. But yeah, I think if the players are at the level, right, and you trust them to chuck them in, then you got to go with it to some extent, haven't you? You can't let them rot on the bench or get picked up by another club and not give them that chance.
Exactly.
Mark, something else as well. Obviously, you've seen a massive rise in your supporters since the famous 48, I think it was, or 42 that you had in that first game when you dug your or put your rope round the pitch. How do you as a club? How do you give the match day experience to fans? I mean, I know they used to do the dizzy penalties, which, to be fair, I qualified for once. But there was no way Big Fat Me was going in front of your fans, so we had Bobbie do it instead. So
that is horrendous.
Yeah.
That is one of the highlights.
We'll see if we can put the clip in this pod as well. But how do you do that? How do you give your fans that extra match day experience? What do you do for them to make them want to come back week in, week out?
We do our best. It's a great question, by the way. We do our best, but I still think we're learning. We are constantly looking to be better. Some of the stuff we're looking at now is making it more kind of like carnival-y in terms of the food and drink offerings. Just taking inspiration from some other clubs where they're outsourcing in creative, artisan-y type foods and kebabs and German this and, and we feel like that is the future of non-league, because really the success is getting the families in. That is the target market. It is the families. So we're working hard on that. Little things like the playlists, being up to date, creative, and, that is. So we are always looking at it, entertainment. I think we're not anywhere near as good as we want to be. We look at clubs like Farnham. We look at Dulwich Hamlet, several other clubs and what they're doing and try to learn.
Yeah, you were saying there about Farnham. I read a really interesting piece on X from the Farnham chairman, where he was saying about how he'd increase the spend per head after the players on the pitch, improved, and he started dragging people in, and how, it wasn't worth putting entertainment on for 50 people, but as soon as you've got 200 people there, only a certain percentage will stay. So, I get that, and I think they've done a massively good job down at Farnham, haven't they?
Yeah, very good job. And there is, in life, if you're still doing the same things that was being done 15, 20 years ago, you probably know you're not as good as you can be. So we're always looking at what we can do better. And yeah, Harry at Farnham's done a great job.
Yeah. Very much so.
Just want to ask you, Mark.
Sorry, go on.
I have one more to ask. It was about Tuesday. Just want to ask you, Mark, about Tuesday. Obviously, we've got a bit of an unsettled club currently with a lack of manager. Whether that will change by the time we play you, I'm not too sure. But how do you see Tuesday night going currently? I'd assume if it was Tommy, you'd have played a back three, right? Because you love playing the back three against the back three, having that spare man at the back. Just wonder how you sort of plan for that now, I guess, as well, because you don't know what to expect. So I guess it's sort of fluid for you guys currently, right?
Yeah, I quite like that, though. I'll be honest, I wasn't a fan of playing Tommy's teams, if I'm honest. So I quite look forward to the challenge of whoever's in charge, whether it's Robbie or if there's somebody else in the offering. I think all games in this division are tough, right? And it's just not like the old days. You don't really get teams rock up. Or I know you got whacked at Torquay, didn't you? But you don't really see that much.
Yeah, thanks for reminding us.
Cheers, Mark. Yeah, thanks. Cheers, Mark. Thanks, mate.
Sorry. You got your chance to reverse it.
Yeah, that terrible weekend.
Yeah, we're gonna put eight.
That's it.
We're gonna put 8 past them on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll take one, Mark. I'll take one. I'll tell you. I think that's one of the only games of football, and I think my first ever Eastbourne Borough game where I've walked out before half time.
Wow.
I saw the fourth go in, and I just thought, we were down there for the weekend, and I thought I can't watch it anymore. I couldn't do it. So it was. But no, Mark, listen, thanks for coming on. Really appreciated having your time. Good luck for the rest of the season, but obviously not too much good luck next Tuesday. If hopefully we can do you a favour and take some points off of Torquay, and then you can repay that to us on Tuesday night, because we could do with the points off of you as well. So, so 3 points in the next 2 games against the top 2 in the league, and who's moaning about a bad season,
best,
right?
Mate.
Thanks for
your game will be close on Saturday, I'm sure. So, no, I really appreciate it, Baz. Thanks for the invite. Good to meet you, Bobbie Miles.
No, thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
your
Miles,
time's precious. And good luck for the rest of the season. And we will see you next Tuesday down at the Lane.
Yeah, see you later,
Cheers,
boys.
Mark.
Cheers.
Cheers, Mark. Yeah.